Welcome to Let's Unpack That. It's a podcast where we read books that we read in middle school and
bitch about them.
Analyze them from literary and social-political perspectives. What did you just say?
I said, and we bitch about them.
Yes, we definitely bitch about them. I'm Lydia.
I'm Nina, and I'm dying of the plague. But that's
Yes.
okay. I wanted to bring you entertainment and comfort anyway.
So, we took a bit of a hiatus, unintentionally, but much needed. So, I guess, of all the times that we've said we've forgotten how to podcast, which is a lot now, this time is the most accurate.
Well, but I have two important points I want to bring up today. One, I slept until 4 in the afternoon. That's what I did. I took a NyQuil this morning when I got home from a friend's house and slept until 4, which was glorious. But the second point that I want to bring up is, have you heard the new Jonas Brothers single?
No, I haven't.
Oh my god! Okay. So here's why this is important. Because right at the dawn of when I was reading Twilight and being obsessed with these books...
Don't you mean at the breaking dawn?
Yeah, right at the breaking dawn of when all of this was happening, I started getting obsessed with the Jonas Brothers, which was freaking fantastic. My locker in middle school was covered in their photos from like those tween magazines that you could buy. It was glorious. And so when they announced that they were releasing another single, I was like, okay, guys, it's been 10 years. I loved you so deeply when I was a child. But if this is going to happen, it needs to be good, you know? It's like one of those breakups where it's like, I've changed. And have you really changed? I don't know. You're on probation. Is this really going to be what it's going to be? Everything you've promised. And it was. I listened to it yesterday when I was getting dressed and getting ready for work, and it was phenomenal. I'm so excited that they've released another single. I hope they're not just fucking with us and just releasing the one single, but if they decide to go on tour, you better believe I'm going to be buying tickets to go see their show, because it brought back so much nostalgia, but their music was actually so good, too. And I was ready to sit there and hate it, but it was really, really good. And I loved it. And so it's like a throwback. It kind of fits in with the whole theme of like, now we're talking about Twilight again. The Jonas Brothers are coming back. What is happening here? It's beautiful. It's perfect. It's out of my mind. That is what it is.
Yeah, I think during that time I was still in my classical music only phase. Which I say like I'm bragging about it, but really like I just hated everything. But yeah, things from 10 years ago are really coming back. Like everybody is talking about Twilight now. The Jonas Brothers are coming back, and I do really think that they're committed to doing this right, because they know how many people are relying on them doing it right. Like our childhoods must be vindicated. But also, like, I've seen some people talking about the Hunger Games and just other stuff that is from that era, like 10 years ago, that's all coming back at once.
Well, the third How to Train Your Dragon just came out. And I think that one first came out like 10 years ago. The first one came out 10 years ago, didn't it?
Really?
I think so.
Hold on. Listen to me frantically Google search this. It came out in 2010?
Ah! See?
Wow.
I know. I've loved those movies. I've always loved those movies.
I've only seen the first one, but I did love it.
Yeah. I don't know why, but it seems like liking dragons and being a horse girl go hand in hand. Like when you're young, if you also like horses, you also liked dragons.
That makes sense.
That was just a thing. Not saying that they're mutually exclusive, because there are plenty of people who like dragons who weren't horse people, but horse people, like, when I was little, like, I loved dragons and I loved horses, and I have another friend who also loves dragons and loves horses.
I think it might have something to do with the physiology of riding a horse. Like, the feeling in your body is similar so that you can imagine riding a dragon. Like, it's a big animal.
Yeah, and I think also the companionship between dragon and rider is something we strive for with horse and riders anyway. Can't tell you if we've gotten it or not, but
now you have to get another horse and name it Dragon.
It's okay. I call them Dragon when they're being bad.
Oh.
There was a mare over the summer that I would call the Dragon Mare, because whenever she was being ridden, she would pin her ears back and look just like a dragon. because she was always very angry.
Well, there are no dragons in this story, and no horses either, which is probably for a good thing, because those horses would probably get sucked dry.
Yeah.
But this week, we're talking about chapters 11 and 12 of Twilight by Stephenie Meyer. Shall I get started with the summary?
Yeah, go for it.
So in chapter 11, Edward keeps giving Bella rides to school in secret, and they hang out at lunch and ask a bunch of questions to each other, even though it seems like Edward asks more questions to Bella than Bella asks to Edward. And Bella tries to hide the fact that she's hanging out with Edward from Charlie, and by extension from Billy Black. But he already knows, and it's really dramatic when he finds out, and it's like, oh no, this is the end. He's going to tell. But yeah, this is honestly, I think, one of the more boring chapters.
Boring? In Twilight? Are you out of your mind?
I know. But, like, the movie skips over all this. That's another thing. I watched the movie a couple weeks ago.
Oh, yes. Let's talk about this. I want your full and detailed analysis. Go.
So my most full and detailed analysis consists of it is better than the book, because it jumps straight in, and it doesn't bother with stuff like this, with going to school. Like, within half an hour, we know Edward's a vampire, and we're learning more about his family and stuff like that. Here, we're halfway through the book, and we still don't have verbal confirmation. And we're barely getting to where he sparkles. And it's like, what is the use of beating around the bush? We all know what we came here for.
Yeah. It was said distinctly on the back of the book.
It's like, if you're going to advertise something as a vampire story, nobody wants to see the high school parts. That's boring. And especially because they just keep doing the same things over and over again, like driving to school, having lunch, driving home from school. She's cooking dinner. She's going to bed.
She's having nightmares.
Edward's watching her sleep even though she doesn't know it. She's going to school again. It's so boring.
I know. Well, and I just can't get over the fact that I really think Meyer wrote Bella in the perspective of she always knew that Edward was a vampire, and I think it just weakens the story altogether. Because I don't think there's any way that a normal functioning human would have been this okay with everything if she were completely oblivious to the idea that he was a vampire until this point. So that always just kind of sticks back at me. Like, how much of the story was just ruined by the fact that the problem of the whole story is revealed right there on the back cover. Like, there's no way to go into this book not knowing what's going on with him. And I feel like Bella even initially knows what's going on, even though Meyer tries to write her as if she doesn't.
It's like, just get to the point. Get to the point. We're there already. We're there. We're all there.
Uh-huh.
And we still got a quarter of the book to go through before anything really vampiric happens. Also, another thing about the movie is that the foreshadowing was a lot more effective. Because you actually see the evil vampires attacking people instead of just hearing rumors on the edge of Bella's periphery about bear attacks. And so that was something that I didn't realize I was missing with the book. Bella's not paying attention to the bear attacks, so I wasn't. And so expanding the perspective was very helpful in the movie. Did have some cringe moments, though. That spider monkey moment.
Oh, I know.
Hate it. Hate it. Hate it.
Spider monkey.
Hang on, spider monkey. It's like, oh, stop. It's icky.
He's attractive, and we're jumping through trees.
Like, you're supposed to be sleek and cool. That's not cool.
Ooh.
Anyway, chapter 11.
So, I actually... this is really funny. So, I was thinking about just all of Bella's reactions when it comes to Edward, and in this chapter, they go and they have science class together. You know, they're watching a movie and it's dark and they have like this crazy physical attraction between the two of them that they're both fighting the whole time. And, you know, this extreme and immediate physical reaction, it's really just, those signs are of infatuation. So really, Meyer's writing this idea of love as really being this strong infatuation. And what was funny was that when I Googled signs of infatuation, the first article that came up, and this was brilliant, It said, it's called Infatuation Definition, 10 Must-Know Signs That You're Infatuated. And it's from lovedignity.com. You know, and the introduction says, while Hollywood movies teach us that love is infatuation, they are actually two completely different things. So here are the 10 signs. It says, you aren't spending as much time with your family or friends anymore.
Check.
You are becoming increasingly possessive.
Check.
You're not using logic anymore.
Check.
Heightened emotions.
Check.
You think the person is all you have.
Check.
You only talk about this person.
Check.
You begin to show clear signs of obsession.
Check.
You love everything they do.
Check. He can do no wrong.
You only seem to care about them.
Check.
And then number 10, this is my favorite. This is my ultimate favorite. Number 10, you are living in a fantasy world.
Strangely check.
Strangely check. In so many ways than one. It's like meta. We're getting real deep into it. And I think we could go back. We could really beat this horse dead about the ideas of infatuation and love being intertwined and being unhealthily pushed on kids and teenagers. But, you know, I don't really have the drive to do that today. I just kind of want to point out, like, everything that Bella does is very much infatuation driven. And, you know, the older we get, the more we kind of realize that's not what love is. So, and I don't know. I don't want to beat this horse right now, but that is just something that I thought of while I was reading this, and I thought, you know, it'd be nice to look up some signs of infatuation. And wouldn't you know, they fit to a T.
Yeah. Especially how in this chapter she's more isolating herself from her friends.
Oh, yeah.
Not only failing to sit with them at lunch in favor of sitting with Edward, but cursing Jessica straight to the fiery pits of Hades.
Damn,
and,
Bella.
Like,
calm down.
Wow. Like, that is a very teenager thing to say. But, like, did you not expect Jessica to talk about this? Come on. But also how Mike, why am I calling Newton? Mike says he doesn't like that she's hanging out with Edward. Which also, if we're looking at both sides here, there's a certain line at which you tell somebody that their significant other is not somebody that you like. I don't think we've crossed that line yet, because they don't know him yet. Like, invite him to sit with you. Also, he has ulterior motives to that. He wants to be with her.
Also, fuck off, Newton. No one asked your opinion.
Yeah,
like,
no
I don't like
you.
it. That's nice. You don't
Nobody
have to
likes
like
you,
it.
Mike.
Like he's known her for 2 months, and really, do you think your opinion matters? Like, it's one thing to say, hey, I'm worried about you, this guy is weird. But, you know, inserting yourself and saying, like, hey, I don't like it, as if you have some kind of hold over her, like, oh, well, Mike doesn't like it, then I need to fix it. After all that he's done was try to get into her pants, like, what? Just fuck off. It doesn't matter. Like, go away. Who cares?
Edward also, like, by the same token, says, Newton's getting on my nerves.
Congratulations.
Okay, he just listened to that entire conversation. Cool. But also, it's the beginning of him taking her away from her friends.
Yeah. The thing is like, what would you say to Bella at this point? Is there anything that could be done or said? If her friends had sat down and been upfront with her and been like, hey, this is what we're concerned about, if any of them had tried to get to know her on a deeper level, you know, what would have happened? What would they have said if someone had tried to intervene at this point, and not in the really shitty ways that everyone seems to be doing? Because it seems like the only one who wants to make a deeper connection with her at this point in the book is Edward. Everyone else just wants to know her at a base level.
Yeah. I think, to a certain extent, if she gave the other people a chance, and this is something that I want to talk about later, is female friendships. If she gave the girls a chance, they would be better friends than they are right now. And they would be honest with her. I think, at this point, what I would do, if I were Bella's friend, like if I were, for instance, Angela, who seems to have a specific bond with Bella and, like, is the quiet one, and, like, hi, I'm the quiet one. But I would tell her, hey, like, why doesn't he come sit with us too, instead of you two going off on your own? Because, like, we want to get to know him. And at that point, you can judge whether he's creepy or not.
Yeah. Well, and I think the sad thing is that they don't want to get to know him. They don't really want to get to know Bella either.
Do they? Or is that just how she perceives it, because she's so convinced that she's on her own in everything?
It's true. I don't know. Well, I think we've already discussed the fact that all these characters are written very base level, except for Bella and Edward, and that no one really seems to want to get to know Bella, whether or not that is the true perspective, were this in real life. But in case of the book, that is the truth that we're kind of seeing here, is that no one really wants to get to know her, because that's all the truth that we can see. We just see it out of Bella's perspective.
Mm-hmm. The girls are too shallow and the boys just want in her pants.
Yeah, exactly. Sounds like high school. Also, who the fuck doesn't know what a BMW is? I know, I barely know how to turn on my own car, but I know what a BMW is. Like, come on, Bella.
Yeah. You listen to any teenage conversations and you hear BMW, Lamborghini, Ferrari, even if you don't know how to spell them.
Exactly. And she's like, I'm not a member of Auto Mechanic or whatever she said.
If you know about that club or magazine or whatever it is, you know what a BMW is.
Yeah, really. And it's also like, oh, I don't know anything about cars. Meh. I mean, neither do I, but I'd still know what the hell a BMW is.
She has a car. Does she know how to change tire?
I don't know.
Charlie should have taught her that by now.
Especially with everyone getting wooded.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that Bella got mad at Edward, the fact that he listened in on her conversation. But she gave up that fight so easily. And the thing is like, the way that he is listening in on her conversations, that could be construed as stalking. Stalking has been illegal since the 90s, Eddie. And it's such an invasion of privacy, and she shouldn't let it slide just because he claims that he has feelings for her, you know? That is such an abusive and manipulative move of being like, I love you, so I have to watch over you and keep you safe. Like, no, you don't. Calm down. It's fine. You know, on page 223, she basically says, I'll forgive him because I'll drive to Seattle, and that's the best I'll get. But I don't even think Edward is genuinely sorry. He thinks he's doing it all for the best of her. He's like, oh, I'm sorry that you're upset that I did something. Mm-hmm. Is essentially how he's acting. You know? Is a bitch ever genuinely sorry?
Yeah. He thinks he knows better than her.
Yeah. And the fact that he even says, like, will you forgive me if I apologize? You can almost hear the fact that he's being condescending in that question, and it's never even been spoken aloud. It just, he can fuck off. This whole thing can fuck off.
Yeah.
Also, the color brown. What have we got?
It's fine.
Well, have you ever seen that tweet where it was like, the most problematic thing about Twilight was that her favorite color was brown?
Yeah. I mean, it is a really odd response. And I think I might have written too much about this in our notes.
Okay.
But she says she associates brown with warmth, which makes some sense. And because everything that should be brown is covered up with green. But also green is beautiful. Green is my favorite color, if you didn't know. But I thought her favorite color would be yellow because of the sun and the desert and like all of that stuff. I think of brown as cold because I associate it with dark, rich soil that's cool and yeah.
I actually really like the color brown. I associate it with being very calming and being warm. And a lot of my favorite things are brown. Horses are brown. Tack is brown. Books are brown. Some of them, anyway. I don't know. I don't see it as being problematic as so much as being weird and being a Bella thing.
Yeah. It's just like, how many teenagers is their favorite color brown?
I don't know.
Like, I've never met anybody who says their favorite color was brown. Like, it's always blue, green, yellow, red, black.
Pastels.
But not brown.
Mine was always blue. It's always been blue.
I think blue is the most common. Something like 40% of people's favorite color is blue.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. You're a commoner.
I am a commoner. It's okay. I also like purple. Does that help? But, oh, you know what else? My tall boots that I ride in are also brown. So there you go. I'm really glad that this podcast is audio only and not visual, so you can't see what a mess my room is. But I just looked over and my tall boots are laying abandoned on the floor, and they are brown.
I think in a lot of the scenes that we've seen so far, Edward is wearing brown. Like he's wearing a brown leather jacket.
Well, now her new favorite gemstone is Topaz because it matches his eyes.
Ugh.
Is it Topaz? I think it is.
I don't know. I can't even. I don't know what Topaz is.
Yeah, it's a gemstone, but it comes in a few different colors.
Oh, okay, I see it. Some of it is like a goldish color, and some of it is blue. I always think of it as blue. like aqua.
So do I. Like blue topaz, that's what the December birthstone is.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Or turquoise, it just depends.
Cool. Obsessed much?
Just a smidge.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm looking at pictures of topaz on the internet. The correct answer would have been honey topaz.
Oh.
And it is pretty.
Yeah.
It is very pretty.
Yeah.
Also, who the fuck asks what your favorite gemstone is?
Oh, I know. Oh, shit.
Why?
He's already planning on getting her a ring.
Oh, God. I hope you're wrong, but you're probably not.
Yeah, I'm not. Either that or he's planning on getting her some fancy jewelry with gemstones in it, which is still like, ooh, it's a big gift.
You know, every Christmas, my mom picks out jewelry and my dad buys it for her. And I feel really bad about whoever I'm going to end up being with for the rest of my life or for an extended amount of time in my life because I just don't wear jewelry. I wear a necklace and a watch and earrings. But it's the same earrings, same necklace, same watch every single time. Like, if that collection extends to being like a ring, then so be it. But those are going to be the only pieces of jewelry I ever wear. I'm going to be the worst person to shop for because I just never wear jewelry. Yeah. Ever.
Same. I mean, I tried putting on a necklace a couple weeks ago and discovered that it made me feel like I was choking. So I don't wear necklaces. What? Yeah, that was a weird experience.
How big was that necklace?
It was regular necklace size. It went down to like my below my collarbone, like the top of my sternum.
That is so strange. I don't even notice that I'm wearing mine half the time. Except I notice when it's gone. The other day I left it at my friend's house. I was driving home and went to touch it around my neck as I do kind of unconsciously, and I was like, oh my god, my necklace isn't here. I left it.
But like, I'm the same with earrings. Like, these are the earrings that I got when I got my ears pierced originally when I was like 15.
Yeah.
And this is the nose stud that I got when I got my nose pierced 2.5 years ago. Yeah. So
in any case, go Topaz.
Yeah, she's definitely gonna get a big gift somewhat soon.
I love that she tells him, oh, it's because that's the color of your eyes. Way to go, dude.
We're being so subtle. We're really easing into this whole thing.
Being subtle is boring.
Oh, jeez. But, like, he's already watching her sleep. Even though she doesn't know it, we already know it. Ooh. And he's been through her room, which we know because he has the same CD in his car. Like, his siblings have been through her laundry because they had to get the car key. Oh, man. We have no boundaries here. No boundaries.
What a coincidence that he also has the same CD in his car.
Yeah.
I don't know why this is. This is such a huge pet peeve of mine. But when people are like, you should listen to this band, I immediately am so turned off from listening to that band, ever. Even if they mean it in the nicest way possible, they're like, you should listen to this. I'm like, you know what? Fuck you. I'm not going to listen to it. How about that? Yeah. And I'm sure it's cost me a lot of very good listening moments and a lot of new favorite bands, but it's one of my biggest pet peeves right next to Wet Socks. So, side note, don't ever tell me what to listen to because I will probably bite you.
I'll take recommendations from the internet. But, like, if you were to tell me to go listen to a musical soundtrack, I wouldn't do it. I'm just going to be honest here. I wouldn't. Mm-mm. I don't think I've even listened to Hamilton on my own. It was just in the car with you.
So many times.
Yep.
You're welcome. That's okay. No, I don't know. And I always feel bad because I have, like, friends or boyfriends or whatever who are like, you should listen to this. I love this song. And I'm like, I really don't want to listen to it now. Sorry. And I think it's because I had a boyfriend in high school who literally hated everything I listened to and would try to get me to listen to whatever he was listening to. So now it's like, no, sorry. You can fuck off. Thanks. Chapter 12?
Here's the Chapter 12 summary. So Billy and Jacob arrive in Chapter 11 to Bella and Charlie's house to watch the game with Charlie. And Bella feels guilty, finally, for manipulating Jacob. It's Friday, and it's Edward's turn to ask the questions again. So there's more angst about keeping Bella safe. Edward disappears from school. Alice rummages through Bella's laundry to get her truck keys. I didn't know that hadn't happened yet. I thought that had already happened. Bella cancels her trip to Seattle and tells everyone And then instead of going to Seattle, she hikes 5 miles with Edward without any water or snacks, and he gets shirtless, and there's the sparkly cliffhanger. Dun, dun, dun.
So much going on in one chapter.
Yeah. So at the end of chapter 11, Jacob and Billy arrive at the house, and Bella's still in the car with Edward, which, side note, in that conversation, I think he says, "It's Twilight." And I was like, roll credits! That's the end of the book, folks.
It's Twilight.
Bella's talking, I think she's talking about Charlie, and she says, "How ghastly it would be, I thought, shuddering, if Charlie had even the slightest inkling of what I did like."
Kinky shit.
Bella's into some kinky shit, and that's why she's into Edward. But also, why is she hiding this from Charlie?
I don't know. It's like she knows that he would just not approve.
But he would, and he does later, because he approves of the Cullens. He thinks they're a nice family. It would make sense for if she was only trying to hide it from Billy because she knows that the tribe doesn't like the Cullens. But why Charlie?
Well, maybe she also thinks she's keeping him safe by keeping him away from the Cullens, since they are, in fact, vampires.
But they're not a danger.
Yeah, but I don't know if Bella even believes that at this point.
I think she does, because otherwise she wouldn't be hanging out with them.
I don't know. Bella has abandoned logic.
True. I don't know. I just think there's no reason to keep Charlie in the dark. And while teenagers do hide significant others from their parents, like, it's just... I don't get why. Just let Charlie into your life.
But that's easy for us to say now, as adults, when we want our parents to be part of our lives. But as teenagers, that was not what any of us wanted.
As a middle schooler, that wasn't what I wanted. But in late high school, that wasn't the case.
No, that was definitely the case for me. And from what I can remember, I think it was the case a lot with a lot of friends, because they felt like they were moving on. You know, a lot of us were getting ready for college. A lot of us were feeling... You know, we were older than we'd ever been before. We had a lot of decisions we had to make that were coming up, college and what we wanted to study and essentially what we wanted to do with the rest of our lives. And we felt like our parents couldn't understand us, couldn't understand that part of us. But, you know, maybe I just hung out with a more angsty crowd than you did. But that was just kind of the general consensus of the people that I hung out with was, no, we don't want our parents around because they don't understand.
But would it be so horrible as Bella thinks it will be if Charlie just found out?
Found out about Edward or found out about the vampires?
Found out about Edward. Like, oh, she's dating this dude. Like, would it be the end of the world?
No, of course it wouldn't be, but to Bella it would be.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
You know, as teenagers, we blew it up to be so much more than it really was. It was never as bad as we thought it was, but still. What do they say? All emotions are heightened and everything like that.
Another question in that line of thought. What was the point of telling everybody that she was canceling her trip to Seattle?
I don't know. I really don't. That's the weird thing, too. It's like, why didn't she just say that she was still going to Seattle and then, you know, then just not go to Seattle? Unless she's worried that something's going to happen and they won't be able to, you know, if she doesn't come home, the first place they're going to look is Seattle, which is an hour in the wrong direction. But even then, that still doesn't really make sense to me.
Yeah, I don't know. Because it just gives everybody cause to tell her that she could go to the dance again and to bug her about it again. Like,
yeah.
Just don't tell anyone. And when you come back on Monday, say, oh, I didn't end up going to Seattle. Or say, yeah, it was good. And that's it.
I think she's just more worried that something's going to happen and then they won't be able to find her. I don't know. It's just, everything Bella does is weird.
She doesn't tell anybody where she's actually going either. Like,
yeah.
I'm pretty sure her dad thinks she'll be at home all day.
Yeah.
Okay. Seattle, hiking 5 miles in the wilderness with a vampire, home. What is the level of danger in those three things?
Where the hell is she? What is she doing? What's happening here?
Also, it doesn't say that she ever trips, I don't think, when she's hiking.
Oh, no.
Which is like,
Oh, good.
Inconsistent. But also, she didn't know they were going hiking? What? There's so much about this that I don't understand.
I don't understand any of it, but that's okay. Oh, I also like how the daughter becomes the wife here in chapter 12. Like, you guys want any food? Like,
Yeah.
Sure. Also the fact that Billy's trying to step in and be like, hey, Bella, don't do that. that kind of crosses a line, I think. Whenever I picture other parents reprimanding other people's kids, I always picture the kids being very young, like 5-year-olds, but not teenagers. And I feel like there's a line that's being overstepped here with Billy trying to, parent Bella and saying, hey, you shouldn't do these things.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I understand where it's coming from, but at the same time, it's just completely... Right. I don't know. I think it's out of line.
I think it's again with the supernatural perspective. Like, we have supernatural knowledge and therefore have more authority on the subject than your parent does. Because, like, Charlie would never believe that the Cullens are bad. Anyway, yeah, it is, like, pretty awkward. Like, I much preferred this scene in the movie. Also because I think that Billy and Jacob are given more character in the movie.
That's definitely true.
And we see more of the friendship between Charlie and Billy. Than just, they go fishing and they sit on the couch and watch the game together. So that's boring.
You can see they're genuinely friends and they genuinely care about each other.
Yeah, and that was, like, strangely, that stuck with me. Charlie has friends, and Billy is his friend. And, like, that is a deeper friendship, in a way, than anything that we've ever seen in the book so far.
How so? What do you mean?
Well, it might be just a product of time. Because they've known each other for so long. And I think this is where we should get into female friendships, but the only relationships that people have with Bella are either jealousy, in the case of the girls in her life, or wanting to fuck her, in the case of the boys. And I wanted specifically to talk about female friendships, because the only relationships that people have, like, between girls in this book, are those based very firmly on jealousy. Like when we first met Jessica and she was talking about Edward, Bella was guessing that there was some jealousy there. When Bella first meets Alice in the scene in chapter 12, she's jealous, and she says her high soprano voice was almost as attractive as Edward's, but then that immediately gets torn down with she's being jealous of Alice.
Yeah.
The waitress being jealous of Bella and, like, just wanting to be with Edward. And, like, I was just wondering, why is jealousy so prominent in this book? And why is it the sole basis of so many female friendships in this book?
And it's also kind of the basis of Edward and Bella's relationship later on in the series, too, because he gets jealous when she's hanging out with Jacob, or whenever she's not hanging out with him. It kind of becomes a central theme of, like, this is a very jealous and possessive relationship between the two of them. And that seems to be the only relationships established between people anyway, are relationships built on jealousy. Which is interesting because, what is it? Corinthians 13 or something? Love is patient, love is kind, it's not jealous, or something like that. You would think that that would be a more developed thought on Meyer's part. But instead, everything is very jealousy-based.
I think part of it is not allowing people to love each other as friends, which is, like, overall in society is a big problem. Like, guy friends not being able to say I love you to other guy friends, and girls, in a way, especially at this age, not being allowed to like other girls because of the whole not like other girls, other complex. And because, like, other girls are shallow, and therefore I can't like them. I'm not even thinking about this yet from a romantic perspective, but just being allowed to be friends and genuinely love other people as friends is not a thing. It's internalized misogyny, is what it is. And in the case of men, more likely internalized homophobia.
What?
And I wrote English papers on this, about the journey from feud to friendship that a lot of women in literature make. And I really want to believe that that's a potential for Bella in this story, to make the journey from feud to friendship with some of these girls. But I really only think that that's going to happen with Alice, if at all. And that's because Alice is supernatural. She is not like other girls.
Literally.
Yeah.
I think now, looking back, it was so easy. The reason everyone was so jealous of one another in high school was because everyone was so self-conscious about themselves. Because no one was cool in high school, and everyone was still trying to figure it out. But I think something you have to realize is that everyone is trying to figure it out. Everyone is trying to, be a better person, hopefully. So you're not alone in being freaked out and thinking, okay, I need to be better than this person. No, you don't, but, everyone is fearful and thinking you do.
I really hope in later books Bella grows past this, but honestly, at this point, I'm not really hopeful. Because she technically does grow up. Like, this takes place over how many years? Part of growing up is realizing that nobody has it together.
Yeah.
But I really don't think it's going to happen, honestly.
And I'm trying to think about any relationships that Bella builds in the next few stories, in the next few books, but it really is just the Cullen women, and it really doesn't get much deeper than with any of the other people, any of the other mere mortals in the story. It really does stay very base level with the rest of the humans. I don't know about you, dude, but I am fading like the morning sun.
Don't you mean like the Twilight sun?
Hey.
I think I just had one final thing that I wanted to talk with you about.
Yeah.
Which was the downsides of being a vampire.
Okay.
Right before they go on this hike together, Edward keeps talking about if things go wrong, which he thinks it means that he'll murder her. She thinks it means that she'll become a vampire, which is why she's not scared, and why he's so worried, and she's not. I figured that out, and I was very proud of myself for that. But really, what reason has he given her for thinking that there's any downside to being a vampire? You're invincible, you're beautiful, you're graceful, you're immortal, you're sparkly, which she's about to find out. But what is his kryptonite? Everybody has to have a fatal flaw. Even alpha predators can be killed by their prey.
Yeah.
So what is that?
Well, he thinks he's damned. That's something he goes into in the next book, is thinking that his soul is damned and that he's doomed, essentially. Like, it has a little bit of religion into it, but where he thinks, like, he is just a monster. Like, the beauty and the sparkliness and, like, the all-over quote-unquote perfection is meant to be a killing machine, and he can't live with that. He doesn't like living with that.
Okay.
But I mean, that's not necessarily a fatal flaw, but that's something that he's worried about. Like, he thinks, like, oh my god, we're killers. Like, that's the only thing about us, is like, we're meant to kill.
See, I don't think there's any downside to that. Like, I don't think that outweighs any of the benefits, because, like, humans are killers.
Yeah. Well, no, but, in the perspective of Edward, it's like, humans are beautiful and we need to preserve them, and like, how could I only take human life or something like that? Like, it's a moral dilemma, one that we may not necessarily see past, but for him it is. But as far as a fatal flaw, I think Bella's the fatal flaw.
I wrote specifically in parentheses, don't say it's Bella.
Why what do you think it is?
Because, like, Lois Lane is not Superman's kryptonite, and Mary Jane is not Spider-Man's kryptonite. Like, the women in your life don't weaken you, and Bella doesn't have the power to bring down Edward.
That's true.
So when I say kryptonite, I mean actual kryptonite. Like, could he get staked in the heart and die? I don't think so, which is unfortunate, because it means that anybody who isn't a vampire can't kill him.
Yeah.
Which is unfair.
Well, we can find out later on that the werewolves could kill them. But it's very difficult for them to do so.
It's still a supernatural thing. Like, humans have no defenses against vampires? Are you kidding me?
None at all.
It's annoying.
Well, what are you gonna do?
Become a vampire?
There you go. Bite me next.
Fuck, I'll tell you if I find out how.
Sounds like a plan. That's the conclusion we draw from this week. Become a vampire.
But vegetarian vampire.
Well...
Or like blood bank vampires.
Or serial killers and murderers and pedophile vampires. Breaking into different max security prisons.
Honestly, what's the use of breaking into a prison when there are so many more criminals outside of it?
That's true. They run our corporations. They run our country. We're gonna get shot. We should probably get out of this tangent.
Yeah, FBI, if you're listening, we're not gonna do any of these things.
Just so you know, we can't actually become vampires.
Yeah, but also keep listening just in case we do. Want to do the yikes moments?
Yeah, mine was just the fact that Bella is the fucking housewife for everybody in all of mankind. You guys hungry? Like, no, let them make their own food.
Men can microwave nachos if they want nachos.
Yeah, they can.
My yikes moment is when Bella sees Edward shirtless and comments on his, quote, perfect musculature, and how he's a godlike creature.
Sure. That's exactly what it is.
Uh,
Well, getting through this in a NyQuil-induced stupor has been very exciting. I'll tell you that much. I feel ready to take a long nap.
you should. It's called going to sleep for the night.
I think I woke up, ate food, and recorded this podcast, and now I'm going back to bed.
Nice. Hopefully in 2 weeks when we do the next one, you won't be as sick.
Hopefully.
But until then, you can follow us on Twitter at Let's Unpack Pod. And how's the Tumblr going?
It's not.
Okay, so that's not up yet. But it will be.
It will
eventually. We're on SoundCloud, which might be where you're listening to this, and we're also on the Apple Podcasts /iTunes app, which also might be where you're listening to this. If you like the show, rate and subscribe.
And do it for the vamps!
Yeah, and that's the end.